This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Handicappers Report alongside Seth Merrill. I am Anthony Mormino, kicking off full week number 2 in December as we get to the holiday weekend and headed towards the inner dirt track at the Big A. We'll get to that on a Wednesday afternoon. And
grass racing done in New York.
Yeah, it's. I was remarking that this will be the 16th inner dirt track season for me at Capital Off-Track Betting, Seth, and I think probably 50% of them, you could pick up a daily racing form, have the inner dirt track and turf racing. Usually for that first week, your best case scenario. That will not be the case in 2013/2014. As Seth mentioned, they have run the white flag up for turf racing in New York. They tried to get a couple of days of it in over this weekend. They had scheduled, I think, about 5 races altogether, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I think it was 2-2-1. They lost them all. They lost it yesterday. So pretty soon I think we'll see that fence up on the infield for the snow drifts, etc. The big lake is already pond, actually, I guess, when you're inside a racetrack, is gone. In case you missed it yesterday or this weekend. And, you know, there will be moments for me, and the Hollywood Starlet is certainly one of them, Seth. We ran the Hollywood Starlet for the final time on Saturday evening. And Mike Watchmaker, I thought, wrote an intriguing column, and it all starts with the fact that we don't know who the heck the 2-year-old filly champion should be. But I have to say, at the end of the day, to me, it has to be Ria Antonio, just because, I mean, can streaming have a maiden and the Hollywood Starlet be a I just don't see it. And Seth, I think you know how I feel. There's just so many people that didn't see the Hollywood Starlet on Saturday. I just firmly believe that, going back to blind luck, winning by a pole, and not winning the juvenile filly championship over, what was her name, She Be Wild. So I doubt very many people saw the Starlet.
Maybe Watchmaker's column will help make the case, though, because I enjoyed reading Watchmaker's column, because now I'm going to enjoy watching the Hollywood Futurity and see if maybe Shared Belief can't make the same kind of move and statement, because I think both 2-year-old categories coming out of the Breeders' Cup were situations where it would be tough for me, and I'm not a voter, but it would be tough for me to pull the trigger with a whole lot of enthusiasm. Ria Antonio, gets moved up, and I don't think prior to that even had a super record, but I think you're looking in both the male and the female 2-year-old categories as kind of perhaps the Breeders' Cup winner by default, just in the Breeders' Cup. In that division, maybe more than any other division, is kind of a championship event, just because they're typically so lightly raced. But again, I hate to see the season end with the Breeders' Cup and folks really think that's the punctuation on the season. Because, again, those 2-year-old divisions, I don't think anybody really made a super statement so far in the season. And Shared Belief, I think, is logical, too, perhaps.
And I understand that, and I think for those of us who would be apt to read a Mike Watchmaker column, which I think is a small group of us, would say if at the end of the day you have 3 or 4 horses whose resume look strikingly similar, that is a maiden victory and a Grade 1 victory in the juvenile season, the Breeders' Cup one has to be ahead of, the only thing is, again, and I'm a guy who loves the Hollywood Futurity.
There aren't no rules, as we all know, with the Eclipse Awards, and so I wonder if, and I've made the case, to me, if I was a voter on the male side, I'd probably tilt towards Honor Code, and I just say that in that I wonder if voters will eventually say, as you say, where there's records that are kind of similar, you can make cases that they're in the same boat. Then maybe you tilt towards the best horse. And I think a lot of people may agree that Honor Code is the best 2-year-old.
Right, but I don't think a Grade 2 is going to usurp the Breeders' Cup Grade 1 victory.
Yeah.
Especially that time, that buyer speed figure. Nobody except the believers and that wasn't a good race. I mean, somebody has to win the race. It was junky.
But Honor Code was going against his style. I mean, I give extra points to Honor Code because of the pace, really. But yeah,
how much was New Year's Day running against the racetrack?
Well, the fact of the matter is, I think that the voters will go for those Breeders' Cup winners.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I don't think it's
I think they're going to
go
win
the
by a
other way,
lot.
but,
I think
yeah,
they're going to win by a lot. I mean, I think there'll be, what are there, about 260 voters?
Yeah, that sounds right.
I'd make the plus minus like 70 for the juvenile winners. I don't think it'll be very close. But also yesterday.
Yeah, and as you make the case, I mean, I think there's a lot of voters out there who just they're not real race watchers, and so they just go for the easy way out. It's
And I'll
just,
tell
hey,
you,
Breeders' Cup winner.
and I'll
check.
tell you, even if they're race watchers, what are they going to say about it? Because it's my understanding, Seth, and the Eclipse Award people, the DRF people, send out to voters the records of all of the major contenders. And if you look at Honor Code, you're going to see grade 2, and what do you get, like an 84 Beyer speed figure? They'll be like, he's not going to be our champion. He didn't do anything there. And yesterday, a triple dead heat for place in the Hollywood Turf Express. And Seth, well, when we just wrapped up Horses of Course, I said, one thing about the Hollywood Turf Express, Seth, it has been a sprint stakes race for a very long time. I mean, I think it was about the 25th running, a triple dead heat for place. And I'll tell you, everybody likes to say to me, well, you can just look it up, but you have to know where to look. So they're talking about triple dead heats in turf stakes action. Seth, take a look at this board. This was, I think, a grade 1 the year they ran it. I remember this like it was yesterday, coming home from Saratoga on the first Saturday of the meet. The John Mabie, which used to be the Ramona, a 5-horse field. Megahertz won at a long shot, about $16. And then a triple dead heat for place with horses such as, who was it? Golden Apples was one of them.
Dublino and Tate's Creek.
Tate's Creek.
And there were two, Megahertz and Tate's Creek, there were two names that jump off, and I had to scroll down and
Look at the board.
verify they're both Bobby Frankel horses.
Yeah.
I knew Megahertz was, and I thought Tate's Creek was.
Megahertz, the tiny one, she might have weighed about 875 pounds. She ran against Dublino all the time. But 5-horse field, triple dead heat for place. I think I saw on the Hollywood Park feed that it was only the 3rd time ever at Hollywood Park the Mabie run at Del Mar. The other 2 were for win. So that was the first time. The part that I like, and we're not going to talk, but if you just go look out the chart, is the reams of pages for the prices. And that's what I mean, coming home from Saratoga on the opening Saturday back in 2003 and seeing a triple dead heat for place.
Now you're going to have
everybody gets paid.
multiple triple prices.
Everything.
Too. Yeah.
Everything.
I mean, strangely multiple triple prices, because now you have 4 horses underneath.
Yeah. So in an interesting day. Do you have anything?
I don't. We can kick right into the
How about the few
handicapping
disappoints once again?
Oh, I was going to talk a little bit about that on the. We're going to show the King Creaser race on Racing Across America. But I thought it was a good race by the few. We're talking about the Hong Kong International.
It was a good race in the Breeders' Cup too. But
and certainly maybe a little bit of a bridesmaid kind of a characteristic. But the rooting interest for us, of course, Little Mike and King Creaser. And again, I'll show the King Creaser race later. King Creaser was out there right up with the pace, but faded badly. Both King Creaser and Little Mike were back in the pack. And King Creaser, having arrived at Hong Kong and then a little travel sickness only a week before the race, rebounded. But that you're up against it. You go halfway across the world and you get a little hiccup to boot. And Little Mike also disappointed there, but they both went over and gave it a shot.
Give it a try.
So,
And Seth and I, we're on board together. I don't even have to ask him. You look at the Hong Kong Jockey Club website and you just say, maybe we don't have to invent anything. Maybe we can just plagiarize. It is a brilliant, brilliant production, the way I think it's hard
and
for me to
speaking
imagine.
of that, and tying in a Mike Watchmaker column, because Mike Watchmaker's column that I talked about on Racing Across America the other day, I don't think we talked about it at all. And going back, tying in the Remsen as well. Mike Watchmaker had a great column last week talking about that crazy pace in the Remsen, and then tied in. I talked about this last week on Racing Across America. I'm on board completely with Watchmaker's thoughts. The stewards in those kind of races have to call in the jockeys and say, what are you doing with this crazy pace? Why aren't you up there? And it wasn't just that race. He was saying stewards should have some transparency in any races like that. If you've got a front runner and he doesn't go out and go to the lead, you call the jockey in and you get an explanation. But more importantly, then that gets reported to the public. And I bring it up because in Hong Kong they do that. If a horse is supposed to be a front runner and doesn't go out there, they call them in. The connections, the jockey and the trainer, and they get the explanation,
Aren't
and then the public knows
they
that.
have to know it ahead of time? Like you get
in
you get in a lot of trouble
in
if you
Asia,
don't
they
say,
used to, but they've kind of gone away from that a little bit.
Okay, because I remember there used to be a time when they you had to announce, listen, folks, we're going to try something new, and you should know that. I was like, boy, that's pretty gutsy. Now, Mike Watchmaker, who's been around the racetrack for I have his byline go back 30 years. I'd like to know from Mr. Watchmaker, Mike, that's a great idea. Can you tell me how many times they've ever done that in New York that you've heard about it being at the press box every
But that's
day?
his complaint. That's what he's saying. They should do that, and the stewards should do that. And occasionally you'll hear, you'll hear through the grapevine the jockeys are brought in to watch films the next day. Well, you have to bring them in. It has to be transparent. You have to know they did, and the game plan there is. Now you know the stewards are watching out for you because as Watchmaker says, if you have a couple of front runners and one of them doesn't go and the other one goes, now handicapping is a crapshoot. If you can't depend on looking at the page and the horse is running to what's printed on the page, you might as well be standing at the roulette wheel. And I agree completely.
Learned to not rely on the stewards since the Al Yamuse incident, which was over 26 years ago. We're going to get no help from the booth.
But that's the point in the tie-in with Hong Kong. I think we're seeing over there the way that maybe we should model things after a little bit because, as I say,
well, you know how I feel about you're talking about transparency. How I feel is if the conversations between the stewards and the jockeys should be public forum in real time.
Which and in Australia, that's the case. There are reporters standing there, and the next day in the newspaper, the reporters tell what the conversation was.
You know what my line is? Picasso's line: "Good artist borrow, great artist steal." Just steal the ideas.
Absolutely.
Let's get rolling at Parks.
All right, a little later on, I'm going to take a look at finger lace, but we'll kick things off with Parks for this afternoon. Openers a maiden claimer at the $10,000 level. They are 2-year-olds going a mile.
And just to take a look, Seth, you had Gulfstream, I trust, yesterday, probably, right?
Yes.
I don't know how you did, but going in, did you find the card to be attractive?
I did.
So did I on Friday and Saturday. I went over, but it was one of those comfortable overs. I don't have the field size at Parks, but I have to tell you, I looked at this Monday, and the same thing. I say, Seth, to our audience, sometimes you take the over and you just feel like you were bloodied and battered. I took the over Friday and Saturday, and I felt alive and invigorated. I mean, the races were wide open. You saw the price. I hope you had a few of them yesterday in South Florida because, but I look at the card today at Parks. I know we're having inclement weather on the Northeast, and I know I have shorter field sizes, but I love the card this afternoon, just as I love the card at Gulfstream Park and don't feel worn out at all. 263 in the opener as we go through 2 turns, and Pantera gets my top pick. And I've said this before with horses in these maiden claiming races that I adored all through the winter last year for the final race often at Gulfstream Park. I do not shy away from these maiden claimers at all, and if we have a couple of losses on our belt and they get to be 2 handfuls, I'm not worried as long as I think the athlete is going in the right direction, etc. Heck, not all trainers are Todd Pletcher in their routine and get them cranked up. They take a little variety, and then also one of the things for me is, some pedigrees, when you typically start your career, you end up going shorter, and you're thinking, well, I want to get to going longer. Well, that might put a couple of losses on your belt. Well, my top pick, Pantera, already has 50% runner-up positions, and those 50% runner-up positions, one of them you might have thought was in a good winning position, but we've seen a versatile running style, sprinting. Now we get to root this afternoon. We draw down inside. There is many, many positive angles here for us, and I was surprised to see a tepid 3-1 morning line after 3 consecutive beats as the chalk. But number 2, Pantera, my top pick. For second, number 6, Party Guide, going out for the 5th career start. Showed nothing in the debut, little to nothing in the next 2, but woke up nicely at Penn National going 6. For third, number 3, remember Ruben, who debuted at 16-1. Didn't pick up his feet an inch, then came back, maiden claimer tags for the first time, bet down to 92, ran gigantic. Now, my question here for this 5-2 morning line favorite, you run for $25,000, rooting for the first time, Lasix for the first time, and you run terrifically. Why are you coming back for $15,000 cheaper? I don't like that. I told you, I like horses that lose claiming races, whether they're maiden or open, and you lose by a nostril and you go up. Remember, Ruben scares me. They're taking a $15,000 drop this afternoon after a very nice second career start. So I'm against in the 3rd career start. Remember, Ruben, who might be a short price in the opener, 263.
Second race at Parks this afternoon, a conditional claimer at the 10-5 to 12-5 level. It's a calendar condition. 3-year-olds and up, they'll go a mile.
and I'm not into the names of horses, but I do like my top pick in here, 542. Tick Off gets my top call in here, and what I'm hoping is that the starter allowance race was just a bridge too far, as Frankie Pennington was aboard recently. Mr. Montañez gets the mount back, and more importantly for me, we're back down to a dated claimer 12-5, where this horse has been competitive before. I'm hoping the last race was an indicator of a down cycle commencing, but the fact that the competition was just far too good, and now we get back into waters that make sense for this offspring of Candy Ride. I think if there's moisture in the racetrack, it will benefit this pedigree. My top pick, number 5, Tick Off. For second, number 4, Surprise Storm. No surprise there. 2 races back, won a dated claimer for $7,500, then tried this level, was made the 7-5 favorite and lost nearly all chance at the start for a horse who's done its best runnings on the front end. This offspring of Storm Center bobbled at the start, and I think in a big way just about dictated the final running position. For third, number 2, Lemon Zing. First race off the 12-5 claim. The bad news is this is the first race since May 19th. The good news is coming in here off of a freshing with good early speed, going a mile, having Danzig on top, Lemon Drop Kid on bottom. The moisture in the racetrack will help. I think the post position will help. Rooting here the time off. This horse hasn't come back and run well off the time off, but we're inside. We might have some moisture. We have good early speed. And heck, we didn't back this horse at 1-10 when it lost. 5-4-2.
Race number 3 this afternoon is a conditional claiming event. Again, 10-5 to 12-5 levels. They are 3-year-olds and up. They will travel 3/4 of a mile.
2-5-6, my selections in here, and number 2 isn't Grant's tomb, but Giant's tomb. And I guess New York Giant fans sort of feel as if that's where their team went yesterday after that effort against San Diego. But back to Trisha Farrell, who we have had very, very good success as I've started to do Mondays, and Parks Racing has been on my docket. We draw the inside this afternoon, going 7 with tremendous pedigree in case there's off going. Now, you take the Awesome Again angle, which I think the world of as a stallion in North America for the last, say, 12 to 15 years. But he's an offspring of Deputy Minister. And on the bottom side, you have Gone West. This horse is trying to make it 3 in a row, and I understand that that is always a difficult property. But 4 for 8 this year, no seconds or thirds, so it seems to be all or nothing with my top pick. And I think things are pointing well for my top pick, number 2, Giant's Tomb. For second, number 5, Magic Lion, who was first off the $5,000 claim and just starting to get used to the Parks area and trying to get up to speed with spreadsheets and everything. This Philip Aristone has an incredible first off the claim record, and I'm just trying to familiarize myself with his work, but the Daily Racing Form tells me 24% first off the claim W's. That's a field size of 79. The ROI is 215, but I love the most recent effort. Lost rooting, now gets back to sprinting for the first time since this summer. Could be a very, very sharp claim. Now, here's something I do find interesting. A horrible off-track record, 0 for 9 with only 1 runner-up. A Tomlinson number of 400, and that makes sense to me as I look at the pedigree, having Tail of the Cat and Gulch on the bottom side. So sprinting off of rooting, cutting back, that is, I like, and I like here at 12-1. And for third is number 6, Frankie Pennington takes the mount on, it's pronounced Dis Sky. I thought it was Die Ski, but it's Dis Sky, making the first start since August 10th, and Frankie Pennington, who is the king of Parks Racing, or one of them, actually a little off his game at only 17% this year. 2-5-6 in the third.
Race number 4 at Parks this afternoon, maiden claiming event, $10,000 tags. These are 3, 4, and 5-year-olds going a mile and 70.
3-8-6, my selections in here, and I think the last time that I chose Jackie Davis, she was in East Boston, and we won a route together. Of course, horse was pulling its Swain imitation and going to the outside rail, but 3-8-6 for me, and Aniesta is my top pick and was running sharply before the most recent effort, but that effort is probably clearly better than the running line. Now, the comment line's unruly at the gate, and I think what they mean there is pre-gate and in the gate, because when the latch sent him on the way, there was a not great start, but a conservative rush in where I really think the horse was doing most of the work, and quite frankly, it was a two-turn route at Parks that afternoon. This horse raced well for almost 80% of the race. You tie into the fact that pre-race didn't go great, the start didn't go well, but the horse looked good on the racetrack while being wide into the first turn, wide onto the backstretch, wide into the second turn, and finally, I believe, all of that effort made it pay the price to get beat by nearly a baker's dozen. We draw the inside, number 3, Aniesta, my top pick. For a second, the opposite side of the starting gate on the far outside, number 8, Captain Easy, 8-5 on the morning line, second off the $10,000 claim, off of a good third-place finish while going 6th at Parks. Frankie Pennington gets the call back. For third, the second choice on the morning line, number 6, Tax Reform, just got beat trying to break the maiden first-time blinkers at 4-5 most recently on November 17th, 3-8-6.
In the fifth race today at Parks, it is a plain vanilla claimer, $7,500 to $8,000 tags. These are fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, going a mile.
3-7-2 are my selection, and if my top pick, number 3, Miss Max Eek, is 9-2, I'm signing up right now for that price because I think that is a very, very rewarding price on this runner who comes out of a sneaky good effort most recently at better than 20-1. We're not going to get that price. And what do you mean by sneaky good when they're runner-up? No push out of the gate. This was all just the horse on its own showing the talent level that is a new top. Even if this horse regresses a little bit, and I'm not so sure that's going to happen. Why? I don't know that I saw maximum performance in the most recent effort, but I like the performance I saw. And yes, you could look at it in an extension of my less well angle at almost 25-1. This horse just gets beat by a neck, and now you're looking at 4.5-1. But I like what I saw very much, and you had to figure, even if he didn't develop a comfortably happy relationship with the trip, when you're better than 20-1 and you run second, you come back at the same level, you're going to get hurt at the price. But I like what I saw very much on my top pick, number 3, Miss Max Eek. For second, the outside horse, number 7, Smarty Sluey, goes to the post for the 53rd time, scored a victory under Tony Black's second race off of the claim, and for third, number 2, Paul's Bourbon Baby. We have knocked the door down with his impressive 4-1 winner most recently for Trisha Farr, who I think had multiple winners on November 25th. That was a couple Mondays ago. 3-7-2 in the fifth.
We'll take our first break. When we come back, we'll continue our look at Parks and a little later on Finger Lakes. Stay tuned.
The future of online betting is here, and only at the all-new CapitalOTBBet.com. CapitalOTBBet.com delivers a state-of-the-art wagering experience found nowhere else in horse racing. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Using CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Simply log on with your username and password from the homepage. 2. Fund your Capital OTB account through our Easy Money, Green Dot, or Visa MasterCard options. And 3. Place your bet on one of our 3 easy-to-navigate wagering platforms, Capital Bet TV, Capital Bet Express, or Capital Bet Pro. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Here in upstate New York, no one provides bettors with more wagering options than Capital OTB. Our network of branch and easy bet locations stretches from the mid-Hudson Valley all the way to the Canadian border and west to central New York. So whether you need to place a bet, fund your Capital Bets account, or watch the next big race, all the action is just around the corner. A full list of our branch and easy bet locations can be found online at CapitalOTB.com. Capital OTB, the better and most convenient choice for wagering in upstate New York.
I'm Seth Merrill. Join me weekdays at 10 for Racing Across America. We'll look at important races from around the country, get insight from top handicappers and analysts, and preview the upcoming week in racing. That's Racing Across America, weekdays at 10, right here on the OTB TV network. Welcome back to the Handicappers Report. We will continue now our look at Parks Racing for this afternoon. Their sixth race, conditional claiming event, $7,500 tags, non-winners of 2 lifetime the condition. Fillies and Mares 3-year-olds and up, going 6 furlongs.
5-1-2 my selections, and Wicked Lady gets the top pick in here. Very, very sharp of late as we go to the post for the, let me just double check here, the 19th time. And, you see these 2 L's, we're very familiar with it, but I think it's about this horse being very sharp. Took on winners for the first time most recently after breaking the maiden, and raced very well at this level. We'll take a return trip. Not nearly, won't be close to the 14-1 price. For second, the rail horse, number 1, Ines Bay. I was surprised. I thought it would be pronounced Ines Bay, but it's Ines Bay. We draw the rail here, which going a mile was advantageous, although we didn't use it to our advantage most recently. Now we draw going 6, but in sprinting, I'm not so sure this is going to be an awful post position. You don't want to get shuffled back. It's only a field size of 8, but you're probably going to have to use a little bit of energy to be in the top half of the field. And for third, number 2, I'm 24 Carat. Goes out for Tricia Farrar, another runner she had last week, or I should say Thanksgiving week, where just the pace early in the race under Stu Elliott had us fatigued at the end at nearly 10-1. 5-1-2 in the 6th.
7th at Parks this afternoon, a state-bred allowance event. Non-winners are 1 other than the condition. Again, these are PA-bred, 3-year-olds and up, 5.5 furlongs.
4, 7, and 3, ladies and gentlemen. You can up the ante on my top pick if we do get moisture at Parks this afternoon. Primal Love, who is 7-2 on the morning line, has never run on a racetrack with moisture in it. Gets a Tomlinson number that makes sense to my eye, which is 412. Why? Because you have Not for Love, who is a son of Mr. Prospector, and on the bottom side you have Cat Thief, and you have Good Early Speed. This horse broke the maiden by double-digit odds, in for a tag, open company. First time versus winners, right at this level. Pennsylvania-bred, non-winners of 1 other than, and finished a runner-up position. So we hope that this newfound form for our top pick won't expire after 2 races. I'm not so sure we're going to move forward off of the first time versus winners. I'll take a status quo effort for my top pick, number 4, Primal Love. For second, number 7, Keep Me in Stitches, making the second start since the first day of autumn. I thought a nice effort at Parks, going a mile. Now gets Frankie Pennington in the saddle. For third, number 3, Granddad Bud, who is 15-1 on the morning line. And by the time we've conducted 6 races and we see the weather pattern, this horse could be very dangerous. He's a horse who shows good early speed, and I think will have tactical speed, going 5.5 at a big price. 4-7-3.
8th race today at Parks is an optional claiming event. Claiming tags $25,000. Non-winners are 2 other than the condition. These are Fillies and Mares 3-year-olds and up. Again, 1 mile a trip.
And my selections in here are 1, 2, 3. And as a quick note, the number 1 entry has drawn the 3 and 4 post position. So I'm at the number 3 post position for number 1. It's Kissin' Time, going out for the 7th career start. Never been off the board. 4-1-1. Win, place, and show was a claim back. Already scored off that claim. Tries to make it 3 in a row for this offspring of Point Given. For second, down on the rail at 15-1 on the morning line, number 2, One Smart Filly. Going out, the offspring of Smarty Jones, comes out of a strong pace race where this horse was nowhere near the speed, going 6. Draws down inside and probably is going to sit a very close up on the pace inside trip this afternoon. For third, in between my top 2 picks, number 3, Haley Brooks. 1, 2, 3 in this afternoon's feature from Parks.
The 9th race at Parks this afternoon is a conditional claiming event. Claiming tag $7,500. Condition non-winners of 2 lifetime. Fillies and Mares 3-year-olds and up, 6 furlongs.
And one of my favorite races of the day, and I like to say that when I like a horse who is a very reasonable price on the morning line on top, 3-5-6. Torliana gets my top pick, and at 12-1 on the morning line, I think we're sitting in an enviable position in the closing race of the afternoon. At better than 100-1, going 5.5 in the most recent effort in the middle of November, sort of a non-race, as I will call it, coming off of 2 poor races, but a marked improvement. This horse has won previously at Parks. I think this most recent effort was a big leap forward that was hopefully just the tip of the iceberg that we get home this afternoon, somewhere near $26. So number 3, Torliani gets my top pick. For second, number 5, Artful Persuasion, coming off of a 3rd place finish at nearly 30-1, 0-for-20 lifetime at Parks, but has hit the board 5 times. And for third, 9-5 in our hearts, number 6, Casino Cat, going out for Mario Saray. Jackie Davis in the saddle, coming off of this horse, a 2nd place finish at this level. 3-5-6 in the finale from Parks.
That'll bring us to the bottom of the hour. We'll take a break. When we come back, Finger Lakes. Stay tuned.
Missed one of our TV shows? No worries. Now you can catch all your favorite programs online. Simply log on to CapitalOTV.com and click on the YouTube link at the bottom of the homepage. And look for our new podcast coming soon. CapitalOTV.com. Log on today. Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Each morning on the OTB TV network, you get the very best in horse racing programming. Weekdays begin with the Handicappers Report, where professional handicappers share their selections and analysis of the day's racing. Followed by Racing Across America, a daily conversation with racing personalities from around the country. Saturdays include Down the Stretch, where Mark Casano speaks with the biggest names in racing. And Sunday mornings, it's Loose on the Lead, where Steve Bick and I offer news and a unique lineup of weekly guests. All here on the OTB TV network.
Wagering at CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Capital Bet TV, the fastest and easiest online wagering experience where you can monitor 5 different tracks simultaneously. 2. Capital Bet Express. Its straightforward program layout and interactive handicapping information lets you build your wager quickly and efficiently. And 3. Capital Bet Pro, designed especially for the professional horse player. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, and amazing Vegas-style atmosphere. The Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Handicappers Report alongside Seth Merrill. I am Anthony Mormino. We just finished up with Parks. Now turning our attention to Finger Lakes, where Seth has already had a snowstorm on his resume at Finger Lakes. Is that correct?
Yeah, a couple
you
of weeks
handicapped
ago.
today, and then now we'll see how it goes this afternoon. And in the opener, the popular $4,500 claiming tag is invoked. 3-year-olds and up, fillies and mares, non-winners of 3 races this year, going 6.
Although that said, we'll have to keep our eyes because I think this storm was coming more from the south than the east.
Yeah.
So they may luck out there today. Going back to yesterday, Gulfstream, we talked at the top of the show. I did like yesterday's card quite a bit. There were a couple of maiden races that attracted my attention. Had a play of the day that hit, had another one that didn't. As an exacta player, I wasn't thrilled. I had either 2 or 3 winners. I didn't chart it out all through the end of the card, but I had at least a couple. But it was a day where I wasn't, again, as an exacta player, I wasn't as happy as I could have been. So we'll see what happens.
And I think field size is coming to Finger Lakes. I mentioned that over the weekend, that the field size seems to be around 10 after having a tremendous 4 or 5 month run last year. And I just said to our viewers that all the stables aren't there yet. This is a transient time of year, so it's coming.
Yeah.
It's going to get better.
All right, 6, 2, 7, and 8 for me in the opener of the number 6, Sherry's Tiger. And we see this on a few of my horses on the card today. Last time out was on a frozen surface. Ran an okay third. Prior to that, we go back 2, 3, 4 starts, was running very well. So 3 and 4 starts back. We're looking at some pretty good races, and I just think this horse might be primed to rebound back to those numbers today. Last time out again on the frozen surface, an okay number that was better than 2 starts back. Again, could be primed to get back to that good form we saw back in late October, early November. Second spot, we'll go with the number 2, Wise Man's Fate. Solid win in an N2Y condition last time. This is an N3Y. I think just looking at the movement over the past 3 starts with the buyer figures improving, the finishing positions improving, I think this move up a condition is not going to prove to be a solid obstacle. I think Wise Man's Fate is going to be up in the mix. And then the number 7, Queen of the Lake, just seems to be in some pretty good form right now. The buyer figure last time was okay. 2 starts back, I think, was very competitive with this field. Both of those were in this N3Y condition, so now has gotten some education at the level and should be up there contending as well. In the opener, 6, 2, 7, and 8.
Second half of the early daily double, we have 3-year-olds and up. Maiden Claimers in for 45, also racing 6 furlongs.
3, the 1 entry, 9 and 2. The number 3 is Deco Drive. This is one of those horses that I just think, this is a very, very weak field. And so this is a horse, Deco Drive, with 9 career starts, a second and a couple of thirds, so hasn't won in 9 career starts, plenty of experience, virtually all of it out of town, Woodbine or Fort Erie. I think the Fort Erie races show that the move from Woodbine was a good class move, and the Fort Erie horses have done pretty well here since their meet ended. First couple of weeks after that, we were kind of getting a barometer, but for the most part, the Fort Erie horses, their form is held up and they've done pretty well. And I think overall, this horse just has a buyer edge on, again, a very weak field. So Deco Drive on top. I think that 3 to 1 is going to float down, but certainly if we get it, this horse will be very, very interesting. Second spot, the number 1 and 1A, the plain 1, Sandy Sunspot, showed some life last time. That was the second career start. Nice improvement there. I think a relatively fresh face in a field of many-time losers. So I think this horse is going to be absolutely logical. And the 1A, Johnny B. Jack, 7 career starts so far. But I think if you look at the last 4 and the numbers thrown, again, as compared to the vast majority of this field, Johnny B. Jack should be up in the hunt. And then Good Guys on top, the number 9 horse, 10 to 1 on the morning line. Adds blinkers off a dud last time, but to start a couple starts back and 3 starts back certainly would be competitive with this field. And maybe with the addition of the blinkers, this horse will get back to those numbers. So for me in the second race, again, fairly weak race in here to wind up the early daily double. But I have a 3, the 1 entry, 9, and 2.
On to the third race this afternoon. We have 3-year-olds and up in for a claiming tag of 5,000. Non-winners of a race in the last 6 months, going 6 furlongs.
I'm going to do a 3-horse exacta box play of the day in here. I got it 5, 7, 4, and 2. The number 5 is Uncommon Grounds. Trouble last time. I think this horse is going to probably bounce back to the numbers we saw prior to that. Now, there is a concern here. Did have the trouble and the poor effort last time, and now comes back for a $5,000 tag. The 2, 3 races right before that were for $10,000 tags, and this horse was running very well. Now, it is the end of the season. Maybe they're just as happy if this horse moves on to somebody else's barn and they can take care of this horse over the wintertime, and they'll be happy to get a win. That's kind of what I'm counting on here. I think the horse probably is better than the Trouble Trip last time, and again, is getting some class relief in here. It's just, it is a little bit of a concern, the amount of class relief, but I think Uncommon Grounds, end of the season, I'll think that's maybe they're shopping for a winning spot. And again, they won't be sad if it moves to another barn as the Finger Lakes season wraps. Second spot, the number 7, Straight Thunder. Just a horse in some very good form over the past, boy, we got to go back maybe 8 starts for this one to run out of the money. Has been in the exacta in the last 5 starts. So again, Straight Thunder, certainly logical to contend in here. Third spot, the number 4, Valid Ocean Pass. Solid buyer figure last time, but do note that was on a frozen track. That certainly is a different kind of surface than you're typically going to expect. So will we see this horse bounce back up to that 65, which again, best buyer figure so far in the 14 starts in 2013. Did that signal this horse was in some pretty good form, or was it just freakish over the strange surface that day? I'm going to kind of go somewhere in between and hope we get an effort near that or up in that vicinity. And again, this horse may be in some decent form, but I don't think we're going to get bounced right back up there. But I think this horse can be in the mix today. Again, I'm going to box up my top 3 in an exacta in this third race, 5, 7, 4, and 2.
On to the fourth race this afternoon. We are 3-year-olds and up claimers in for $4,500. Non-winners of 3 races in this year, going 6.
Going to box up my top 3 once again. Another exacta box here in race number 4. I have it 3, 4, 9, and 5. The number 3 is Seek to Destroy. Back in some good form after a couple of duds in September and October. We saw some nice buyer figures late spring, and then there was a layoff, and the comeback in late summer was pretty good. And as I say, dropped in a couple of duds in early fall. The 2 starts subsequently have bounced back to that prior good form. So I think Seek to Destroy is in some decent form right now and should be up in the mix. Number 4, Second and One, another horse that's in some solid form right now. Last 3 starts, couple of wins, bookending a near second place finish, a near miss second place finish. All the buyer figures in there are competitive with this bunch. And then the number 9, Locally Made, dropped in for a 4,500 conditional tag last time and won, moves up a condition, but still at the 45 level. So I think price-wise, this horse is still finding some class relief as compared to those races up at Woodbine and Fort Erie. So Locally Made, I think, is going to fit decently with this bunch again today. I'm going to box up my top 3 again. We're going to have a little play of the day with 3, 4, and 9, and I also have the 5 in the mix. So again, play of the day in here, top 3, 3, 4, 9, and 5.
You know, Seth, as we have branched out at Capital, and we're touching on a lot of tracks, and I just was thinking about the 4th race and the 5th race. There might be one era where the information out there, you can doing the work yourself could help you out. How about, like the previous race was non-winners of 3 races for 2013 for the same claiming price, and now this one, how about non-winners, 3-year-olds and up claimers, 4,500 non-winners of a race in 365 days, going 6 furlongs. It just goes to show you how borderline immaterial the dollar value is that you have if you keep track of these conditions, which will not show up in the daily racing form in the future. You might get yourself an edge that so far, I think it's fair to say, we've seen that the data isn't going to be delivered on your plate for you. Yeah,
no question about it. And certainly when you do find things that aren't on the printed page, that's where you can find some value in your handicapping. In the 5th, I have a 2, 10, the 1 entry, and 5. The number 2 is Can We Win? Just a horse with some numbers on the improve. You go back 4 starts, a 33 buyer, 45, then a 54, then a 63, and the finishing position has been improving as well. So this is one, if the form cycle, I often say, is a sine curve, this guy seems to be on the upslope. So Can We Win? It's in pretty good form right now. Could be primed for a very good effort. Number 10, A Fair Deed. This one I'm going to toss the last start. I think the prior numbers were pretty good. That last one was over a muddy sealed track, so there may be an excuse. But the number is enough of an aberration that I'm going to expect a rebound today to the efforts, closer something to what we saw just prior to that. And then in the 3rd spot, I do have both halves of the 1 entry. The plain one, Dancing Robins, I think the numbers fit. Last 3 starts, last 4 starts, going 5 starts actually. A couple of seconds most recently. Prior to that, 3/3. So this one's in some pretty good form. Again, with numbers that fit. And the 1A Personal Spender, just another one of those that had some trouble last time. And I think this one will rebound to run decently today. So race number 5 at Finger Lakes. 2, 10, the 1 entry, and 5.
We'll take a quick break. When we come back, second half of today's action from Finger Lakes.
I'm Steve Beck.
And I'm Seth Merrill.
Together, we're Loose on the Lead on Capital OTB, Sundays at 10 a.m. Why should they watch, Seth?
Sit down on Sunday, have a bagel, get some great racing conversation.
Cream cheese only, no jelly. Sundays, 10 a.m., Loose on the Lead, Capital OTB.
Here in upstate New York, no one provides bettors with more wagering options than Capital OTB. Our network of branch and easy bet locations stretches from the mid-Hudson Valley all the way to the Canadian border and west to central New York. So whether you need to place a bet, fund your Capital Bets account, or watch the next big race, all the action is just around the corner. A full list of our branch and easy bet locations can be found online at capitalotb.com. Capital OTB, the better and most convenient choice for wagering in upstate New York.
Using CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Simply log on with your username and password from the homepage. 2. Fund your Capital OTB account through our Easy Money, Green Dot, or Visa MasterCard options. And 3, place your bet on one of our 3 easy-to-navigate wagering platforms, Capital Bet TV, Capital Bet Express, or Capital Bet Pro. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off Exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTB Television Network.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Handicappers Report alongside Seth Merrill. I'm Anthony Moreno. Seth, tell the good people why I'm laughing.
We have been informed that we'll have to verify, but it sounds like Parks has been canceled for today. So the first half hour, an exercise in futility there.
Practice
Yeah, there you go.
for the next day's show. Unbelievable. What is it? Who? Woody Allen? Somebody? Life is timing. Well, there you go. Great. On to the 6th race. 3-year-olds and up fillies and mares claimers in for $4,500. Non-winners of 3 races this year. Going 6.
4, 8, 3, and 9. The number 4 is Corsica. And this is just one of those horses. We've had a few of them on the program today. Just better than the latest effort. That last start looks like an aberration. The buyer figure bounced down enough that you just have to think, nah, that's not what we're going to see. Now this horse 4 starts back through in a 38 buyer figure and then bounced up 21 points in the next start. That start 4 starts back, though, was over the Presque Isle synthetic surface, but had run well there. So, again, I think this is a horse that maybe on occasion tosses in a little bit of a dud and then will bounce back. I'm expecting that today from trainer Jeremiah Engelhardt, who, again, at King Crisa in Hong Kong. Yeah, from Hong Kong to the Rochester area. Number 8, Bear Dance in the second
Excuse
spot.
me 1 second. You think there's a direct flight?
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. He probably had to hit someplace in between. Bear Dance in the second spot. The number 8 horse seems to be in some decent form right now. Buyer figures over the last couple of starts certainly fit with this bunch, and again seem to be maybe moving in the right direction where this horse could even move forward from what we've seen over the last couple. And then in the third spot, the number 3, Chrissy Raz. Another that has numbers that are good enough just prior to the last effort. Again, there's been a few of them on the card today, and you don't know, is this horse going to bounce back? Was that an aberration, or is this horse moving in the wrong direction? I tend to look when the numbers dip enough, though, that it's kind of an aberration. I'm expecting a bounce back. That said, this one went 3 starts back, 50 buyer figures, 51, 50, 48. That's not the kind of gap that says to me this is necessarily an aberration. This one could be going in the wrong direction. But that last start was over that frozen surface. So again, you combine them. I think we're probably going to see a little better today from Chrissy Raz, but it's not definite. 6th race at Finger Lakes, 4, 8, 3, and 9.
On to the 7th race, we have 3-year-olds and up going 6 furlongs. This is in for claimers $4,500. Capital B for 3-year-olds which have not won 3 races in 2012, 2003, or who have not won 2 races in 2013. And Seth, I think we've seen the splintering of claiming in New York. We've gotten to the 3rd condition. I think you're going to see this type of splintering just increase and increase in the claiming game. My point being, we started an era where it was just dollars amount. Then it was, 2 lifetime, 3 lifetime, some 4. Now you're getting parsed out, 3 wins in 2 races. And I think you're going to see this come about. And I do believe this is one area where you keep your own notes, you will see an advantage at the windows.
1A, 2, 4, and 6 for me. The number 1A, Blues Powerhouse. This has been pretty solid lately. This horse has been in calendar condition 4,500s most recently. But you look at the numbers, you look at the early speed, I think Blues Powerhouse has the potential to take this field start to finish. Second spot, the number 2, Raffy's Choice. Another horse that seems to be in some pretty good form right now with some improving numbers over the past 3 starts. Again, the 4,500 level calendar condition, you go back prior to the last start, was at this B condition last time, a near miss second place finish. So I think, again, this horse seems to be in some pretty good form right now and moving in the right direction. And then in the third spot, the number 4, Me, the C, and GT. Well, this horse has been in pretty good form all year long. 13 starts so far in 2013. 8 of those have been in the money, a couple of wins. And in the past few starts, the buyer figures in the finishing position certainly has been up there. In fact, if you go back actually to August, this horse has been in some pretty good form, seemingly. Last couple of starts have been in this B level 4,500. 2 starts back, a near miss third, a near miss fourth last time. So again, seems in the comfort zone and in some good form, Me, the C, and GT. 7th race at Finger Lakes, 1A, 2, 4, and 6.
And the 8th race is the other side of the ladder. Doesn't take any detecting. 3-year-olds and up. Claimers in for $4,500, going 5.5.
7, 6, 4, and 3. The number 7 is Boston Chief. Just one of those horses that has a little bit of a buyer edge over most of these. Certainly a recent buyer edge and has some early speed. I think at 5.5, this horse is going to certainly be a catch me if you can type. Simon Husband's on board, having a great 2013 year out at Finger Lakes. So again, this horse should put the pedal to the metal coming out of the gate, and I think going to be tough to catch. There's a couple others in here that have a little bit of early speed, but I think Boston Chief is going to be the speed of the speed. 2nd spot, Bad Boy Bubby, the number 6 horse. 3rd behind my top pick last time. Prior to that, also 3rd, then a 2nd, then a 1st, then a 2nd, a 3rd, a 1st. So again, this is another one of those horses that you go back over the 2013 season. 16 starts, 11 times in the money, 8 of those exacta finishes. A lot of those have been recent. So again, in some pretty good form. And as I say, 3rd behind my top pick last time. 3rd spot, I'm going to go to Talkit Man. 2-1 on the morning line. On the numbers, this is a solid fit to contend for the win position. I'm just not sold on the Suffolk Shippers at this time. As I said, when the Fort Erie season ended, I kind of kept my eyes on some of those Fort Erie Shippers as they moved over and made some starts here at Finger Lakes. I think their form kind of held up on the move to Finger Lakes. As I watched some of these Suffolk Shippers, I'm not as convinced. It's not that I'm negative necessarily on them, but I'm probably tilting more negative than positive. So I'm going to take a little bit of a wait and see with Talkit Man, although this will be my only chance to wait and see as they're going to wrap up at Finger Lakes. But again, I think on the numbers, this horse is a solid contender for the win. I'm just a little bit dicey on the numbers and how they're fired up at Suffolk and how they'll translate here. So I got this one down in the 3rd spot. 8th at Finger Lakes today, 7, 6, 4, and 3.
9th race on the card brings up, just a thought that I have had, Seth, that you have the printed version. In the conditions up top, what's the last letter?
Why?
It is for me, too. As I read it, though, it's 3-year-olds and up, fillies and mares, allowance, non-winners of 3 races other than maiden, claiming or starter, or state bred in 2013. I don't understand the why. Literally here, not the who's on first thing, but the letter Y, going a mile and a 16th. And I
guess because there is a date on it. I mean, it's in 2013, so it's essentially since January 1st. So there is a date to the condition.
Okay.
I'd assume that's the...
I mean, I think that is, we had a situation on Saturday with Jeff that the online version that I had taken down was different than his printed version with stuff, but I think Seth is on, so it's basically an allowance race for non-winners of 3 races this year.
Yeah. I have it 4, 3, 2, and 6. The number 4 is Princess Mara, and just some NYRA class. Now, the past couple of starts have been in turf company, but 3 starts back was on the dirt up at Saratoga. It was okay, was 5th that day, but I think as compared to this bunch, Princess Mara is going to, as I say, have a little bit of a class edge. The NYRA class, the venue class relief. We'll put Princess Mara on top. 2nd spot, the number 3, Mom's Law. Last race was pretty solid. Couple of wins, in fact, over the last 3 starts, bookending a 3rd place finish. So some good form, including that nice win last time. And then the number 2, Floating Alone, also in some pretty good form. Also 2 wins, bookending a 3rd place finish in the last 3 career starts. So again, in the 9th today, NYRA class relief on top, a couple of horses in some good form underneath, 4, 3, 2, and 6.
In the finale this afternoon, 3-year-olds and up, fillies and mares, claimers in for $4,500, non-winners of a race in 365 days, racing 6 furlongs.
5, 2, 9, and 7. The number 5 is Mistretta. $4,500 level, 2 starts back, the 2 calendar condition. Non-winners of 3 lifetime last time. Now comes at an N1 calendar condition. So maybe a slight level of class relief for Mistretta. Second spot, Bebo Blues Art. 2 and 3 starts back. I think the numbers were pretty good, and we'll be up here competing with these. This is another one of those. I'm going to toss that race last time, which looks like a little bit of an aberration. Look for a rebound. And then in the third spot, number 9, Warrior Lass. Another one that I'm going to look for a rebound off of the last effort. 2 and 3 starts back are good enough to compete here. So we hope a couple of these get some memory from races just fairly recently and not so much the last time out. In the 10th, I have it 5, 2, 9, and 7.
And that wraps up our look at Finger Lakes, remembering that Parks Racing, ladies and gentlemen, we're waiting for absolutely official, but we believe they have canceled for this Monday afternoon. But remaining on the network, TV 12 this afternoon, remember tomorrow is closing day at Finger Lakes, but on for today, the schedule is, don't keep it a secret too long. Oh, they're keeping secrets on us, Seth.
Yeah, they probably have to type out Parks.
Well, I could have. There they go.
Yeah,
Finger Lakes at high noon, 12:25 Monticello, Beulah, Turf Paradise, Western Fair, Dover Downs, Northfield, Pompano, and Yonkers, ladies and gentlemen. That is up-to-date information on the network this afternoon. Also, if you missed any of, in this case, Seth's selections, just go to the capitalotb.com, click on the Handicappers Report, and I say that because my work was for Parks, and that has canceled. Also, capitalotbbet.com, ladies and gentlemen, get yourself signed up for a Capital OTB betting account. This is our newest platform, state-of-the-art. Give it a whirl, ladies and gentlemen, and you get yourself signed up. You can be part of bankrolls that we have throughout the year, and the next one up, December 15th, Steve Bick will be aboard with a $500 bankroll for 25 lucky patrons. And it doesn't say that this year, but I presume that's 25 lucky patrons who are Capital OTB Bet account holders. So we'll double check with that.
Yeah,
but that's
I don't know if
usually
that's
how it
exactly
runs.
true, because it's
just-
a live in here, and
So
they're
you just come
going to
in?
randomly draw. I'm not sure. We will
Well,
have
that
to-
would-
we will
yeah, I
have
mean,
to
if
check
they-
on
if
that.
that
It is
would
live
be-
here. You have to be present here, so.
Okay, so maybe
I'm
it's
not
just
sure.
randomness. You put your name in the box and bet along with Steve. What do you have on Racing Across America kicking off the week, young man?
Ellis Starr will come in. Mike Penna, who we usually have Horse Racing Radio Network, he was down for the radio network covering the claiming crowd, and he got in touch with me yesterday that he had flights canceled in Atlanta 3 times yesterday, so he was going to be in the air. So I
got a buddy in Washington. He's at 5.
So I shifted over to Ellis Starr, who joins Mike a lot of times on the Horse Racing Radio Network. But we're going to use him to recap some of the weekend stakes. Catskill Steve Trajanian is going to take a look at Monticello for this afternoon. Then I have Teresa Gennaro, who covered the recent New York Racing Association board meeting for the Blood Horse. So we'll talk a little bit about that.
All right. Good stuff. Kicking off another week. The weather looks like it was a little softer than we anticipated, which is always nice. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy your horse racing this afternoon. Up next, Racing Across America.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.